Hi, everyone. This is Joanna. Thank you so much for tuning in, and what a beautiful day. Um, this is going to be, hi, I'm Joanna, Sacred Personal Vlog. My hair's got a little craziness going today. Um, and I wanted to talk about my own personal awakening and remembrance and the minutia that occurs with ascension and awakening, especially for a divine feminine. Some of the, thank you, spirit. There's lots of spirits around right now, as I was just calling all the energy to have this sacred communion. The energy that I wanted to offer forward is the transition. Thank you, spirit. Is the transition and the shift of consciousness that is stepping into divine feminine wisdom and what that means and what sacredness really means from the divine feminine perspective. And I've mentioned this, in various fragments of energy and vibration. I've honored this role as being a visionary and a prophet and a speaker of the Holy Tongue, and all that I've brought forward in my many years of knowing who I am and what my purpose is and my mission. And I've used certain offerings so that I'm allowing some of my personal experience to be offered, honoring most of what the collective is needing and requiring at the time, so that I'm of the highest service, but also to keep myself at to allow the wisdom to be the wisdom and speak for itself. And part of my personal vlog offering is the awakenedness of how I've been feeling personally and intimately and with vulnerability as who I am as a sacred divine feminine. And so this part of the personal vlogging and my talk about ascension will be my personal ascension experiences and how I'm feeling in my divine feminine body, and offering the path that I've taken, so that it's my sacred sharing of who I am, and being as intimate and as personal as my higher self and my soul feels comfortable in a sharing of communion of other divine feminines and those that want to learn about the divine feminine energy that is awakening on the planet as the whole. Gaia is also awakening in her divine feminine, which allows us all to come forward and be sacred and honored and strong and blessed in our divine feminine. And that's really what I wanted to feel into and talk about in this personal offering. As I've offered before in my very first personal vlog, my experiences that I had when I was a younger child and how it affected the relationships that I called in and the experiences that I called in, and as many across our world have experienced, those intimate relationships that perhaps left us most often than not disappointed and sad, because when you're offering from a vibration of being internally traumatized and hurt, those are the relationship reflections that we all keep offering ourselves until we heal those wounds. And so what I've really been stepping into this last year really is really stepping into that powerful ownership of healing the divine feminine in all chakras that the wounds are encapsulated in. Those wounds within the chakras are also healing the physical, mental, emotional, etheric bodies. And this, again, whether you're in a male body or a female body, it doesn't matter, because everyone is here healing the divine female. And what that means for you in your soul's journey and what you're here to offer. But for me personally, because of the wounds and the experiences that I chose to come with and attract, the relationships were always very very poignant in returning back to those original wounds of sacred. Those wounds allow us to see, like my teams have showed me, there's always that greatest lesson and a blessing within the highest challenge and trauma, because it's always that one. It's always oneness. And so, but of course it takes us years to figure that out, right? And you still move through that human experience of the emotional wants and needs and desires, and the physical wants and needs and desires, and all of that ego-based energy, which is what we heal at that multidimensional level, healing physical, mental, emotional, etheric ego energies, because that's 3D. And as we awaken into the spirit, as we deepen into the soul, we understand that in healing all of those aspects leads us to the grander remembrance of who we are as spirit and soul, having a matter human experience, in which the only thing that will satisfy the soul and the spirit is those higher vibrational sacred relationships. And oftentimes, most of our collective is moving through, what does sacred even mean? And what is the vibration of sacred for me? Sacred is a very intimate vibration that each person will have to feel into and maneuver as their experiential, kind of vibrational garnering point, having that intuition and that desire to feel into the expansiveness of sacred love. And what is that? How does it feel? What does it look like as an emotion? Those are the infinite energies that is divine source creator, as you can see, trying to poke its way through anything that is dense. It wants to be seen. It wants to be felt and experienced. It wants to be nourished at a sacred level. And that is when we've gone through enough of the ego karmic stories that we've cleared and we've honored in ourselves to say that I'm perfect as I am enough, I am beautiful, I am my physical, mental, emotional, all that I am in this state right now. I honor and I garner that sacredness. Yes, I am sacred. I'm sacred, I'm sacred, I'm sacred. And nothing that anybody can do and say outside of that can take away what my truth is about who I am. And when you get to that state where you're constantly standing in that, that presence of, this is my vibration now. And when I wake up in the morning, I will seek and I will honor this vibration. I will explore this vibration. I will express this vibration. And again, for each one, it's for each person, it's different, because not everybody wants to experience sacredness. That's why this experience of ascension is so valuable. But what I wanted to bring forward in my own unique, specific ascension path is my own divine feminine exploration, experience, and expression of what sacred feels like, to bring back in the garnering of what is divine feminine energy, what is that vibration that we all seek for and desire in our highest level of self-actualization. And how is that changing our perspectives of obviously ourselves, because that's where we go to first, is how does that sacredness make me feel about me? How do I feel in my body if I choose to be sacred and honoring myself as sacred? How does it feel in the words that I speak? How is that presenting myself with the relationships around me, in which there's various levels of engagement and sacredness and awakenedness and so on. But what it's allowed me to experience, and sometimes, yes, obviously frustrating, the frustration part of it is in these new awakening experiences of the vibration of sacredness and holding myself in that way, the feeling of frustration when there's so much that is occurring in our collective that is not sacred, and those are around you that are, what's the word? Are reflecting and expressing the lack of sacredness for you as the divine feminine. Because remember, as you awaken into who you are as divine feminine, when you set that vibration, your reality begins to sort itself out based on the vibration that you set. So there will be some time-space experience, if you will, until your world around you begins to emulate and reflect to you that level of sacredness that you've honored and garnered for yourself. And there's still those in between, like it's called the in-between world state, where absolutely that 90% of your consciousness is already here in this higher vibrational state, but the physical part of you is just catching up because you have tiny loose ends up. You've got to complete this one last soul contract, whatever it might be. But there's 90% of your consciousness that's here, that's feeding you everything you need to know to make that final step, that final leap. That's how I feel anyways. My teams have been showing me this for years. It's like, there's 80% of you, 85% of you that's here already. Catch up, do what you need to do. But the ego mind is saying, well, no, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. The ego mind thinks it's got to do all of these things. And your higher self is saying, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. That's an illusion. The physical matter world is just an illusion. You're creating everything that you need to satisfy that vibration of what you think are the limitations and the blocks, things holding you back. And that's where, and that's no different than, it's no different than our vibration of sacredness, you know, because for me, it's important that I honor and I start to emulate and I start to reflect and I start to be that vibration of sacredness in everything that I'm now asking myself to become a part of. You know, I want it to be, I want to be that sacred vibration of the goddesses and the, you know, the goddesses in the heavens, and those are the beautiful energies that I know I am a part of, that I want to bring down and bring to earth. You know, as the masters have been showing me, and Jesus was showing me, that those with sacred sight, those with the sacred tongue, those that are here to teach and offer what the heavens are and garner it and live through them, so they can anchor it to earth and they can begin acting and behaving and honoring these Christic energies to awaken heaven upon earth. And for me, it means a lot. You know, it means a lot that we offer, you know, those that are ready and those that are feeling similar, the vibration of change into who we are as divine feminine, and to feel into how we as divine vessels of the divine feminine be that presentation of that goddess and that elegance and that grace and that strength, you know. And when we do, how can we offer that as that sacred experience for others, you know, to take a part of and not take a part of. But that once we start living it and offering that vibration, then the reality starts to adjust itself, through which the divine feminine and the sacred child begin to be balanced out in the reality. And if enough of us, you know, honor that level of sacredness, because remember, sacredness will be experienced and expressed and explored in different ways for each person, and it's meant to. And if done so, then the reality starts to begin to create the vibrations of sacredness through the Christhood, through who we are as elegant, beautiful, sacred, infinite beings of light and wisdom and intelligence and leadership and care, right? And so that was my experience is lately, is now that I've set this vibration for myself quite firmly, because of my past experiences, because of those experiences that I said, okay, I've had enough of those experiences of being disrespected and being dishonored and being walked all over, and, you know, not being nurtured and nourished and honored. And I've had all of those vibrational experiences. And so it gets to the point where enough of the karmic games are played, through which your whole self says enough is enough. This has got to change. And then you begin that inner seeking and that inner alignment to your whole self as a new vision of you, and saying, well, what the heck was I thinking? Why would I put up with so much? And oftentimes it comes like that, because in that honoring, you have that depth, you have that richness and that depth of traversing all of those vibrations. And then you get to open up to that vast array of, wow, this is what sacred really feels like, because you've experienced everything that wasn't. And there's that equal opportunity. There's always that balance in creation. As far and as dense as you go, you'll always have that infinite trajectory that jets you off into that experience that is sacred, is loving. And you end up, you know, manifesting from that vibrational choice that you make, from that inner knowing of who you are with source, that inner alignment all the time. No matter what you're faced with, no matter what conversation, you align with that higher truth of who you walk with and who you are, as my name is. You begin building that reality of sacredness. And then others begin to awaken into the vibration that you've set, because it's all a vibration. It's all a vibration. If I set this vibration, others have the opportunity for this light vibration. They have the color, they have the ray, they have everything within it, which is all things. It's all right. It's light, it's love. They can choose to either come along with it and awaken into greater light too. That's why it's so important that each of us really take ownership and accountability for our own unique path with source. Because if we don't, then our stagnation affects those around us as well. And why your personal journey, every time you feel the ache to press out and that divine discontent to press out and be more and become more, that we absolutely are inspired and supported every way by source and the creator to do so, because it affects all beings that we're connected with. Every single ray of creation that we are affected with and connected with affects it all. So my vibration of really wanting to be that vibration of sacred, you know, and emulating and radiating divine sacredness. And we've never really had those vibrations here on planet Earth for thousands of years. We've had little pockets of, you know, beings, one or two beings throughout our history that have been written about. But even then, their stories and their depth and their richness has never been fully categorized in our learning, in our human experience, our human historical learning, rather than one or two Greek myths. A short synopsis of 2 or 3 paragraphs. That's all that's really written about for divine feminine. If you really explore any of the divine feminine ever on our planet, there is very little written in comparison to any other man great. You know what I'm saying? Alexander the Great and all of these other people that had tremendous parts in history for whatever reason. That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is the imbalance. The point I'm making is, where is the sacredness? There's many reasons why, and there's many variations of why. Because the energy of the divine feminine is about healing and harmony and peace. That is what the divine feminine offers. And it hasn't been the journey of, you know, balance and peace and harmony until now, because we've had so many eons of separation and war and pain and detriment through egocentric experiences. Divine feminine is all about peace and harmony and balancing and rebalancing, because divine feminine is the life giver, understands the balance and the uniqueness and the innateness of life. We are the life givers. When you go through that process, and this goes far beyond what I'm explaining in a multidimensional way. So those of you that know us know that we don't offer things in one blanket statement. So thank you for the visions and the energies they're giving me on the screen here. They're showing me these different, thank you so much. When a woman gives birth, you know, it goes far beyond the 9 months. It's a journey and a vibrational expression that changes who they are infinitely. And we all know that as a mother. When you give birth and you go through the idea and the concepts and the experience multidimensionally as giving birth, it's an experience that changes your life. And you are that entanglement of forever being that guide and that mentor and that one that offers the greatest amount of guidance, inspiration, empowerment for harmony and peace and for greatness of whatever that life has been and will be forever, eternally. It's the ever eternal threaded pearl. And it's such a profound experience. It's very, very sacred. And that's where we've forgotten through time, is the sacredness of the children, and why we do and choose those sacred contracts, even in those experiences where we think that it was an unplanned pregnancy. No, they're always purposeful and sacred and done at the highest level of the soul. You see all these colors and these vibrations of sound, harmonics. There's energies that are going on right now that are beyond the frequencies that we can just see with our eyes. So they're just showing me in light form the various vibrational designs that is sacred. It goes beyond what we've, in our lower vibrational reality, a 3D reality of separation, we've forgotten that intricate threading and weaving of who we are as sacred spirit, creating matter, right? And so what I wanted to bring forward and add was the vibration of sacredness that I personally have been moving through is coming from vibrations and relationships and experiences that were not that experientially sacred for me. Being such an awakened kid and being an empath and a crystal, and oftentimes throughout my life kind of asking myself, well, why do people treat people this way? It's not sacred. You know, at the time, obviously I didn't even understand the word sacred, but I understood enough to know, and as my kids have shown me in their growing up, you know, why are people the way that they are? You know, like some are just not so happy. I mean, so much anger. And, you know, I mean, my son has said so many times, you know, he just kind of sits back and just kind of watches the world go by. And he just, the things that he sees at his age, and we have long talks and, you know, these great discussions about different vibrations of interaction and behavior that are mind-boggling, you know, to those that come with such a pure heart. But those are those catalytic moments that I remember perceiving and understanding sacredness and light and beauty and oneness at a level that you can't express in words. And this is why children are so very sacred. They're the ones that will be the mavericks of all change and all transition and all transformation. And how can we just stop and just feel into sacredness? And honor it within yourself first. I'm going to treat myself as sacred, and I'm not going to, you know, talk with that person that doesn't treat me with sacredness. And that's one small step. Whether it's somebody that, a friend that constantly calls you, and you've been debating back and forth for a while of releasing that friendship because it doesn't serve you. It just pulls on your energetic emotional cords every time they call, because all they seem to do is complain and tax you on every darkness that's going on in their life, and yet they're not doing anything to change it. All of those experiences are acts of sacredness. I love you unconditionally, but we've been friends and I've been playing this game with you for so long, and I just can't do it anymore. It's not allowing me to feel sacred, and I want you to feel sacred. I want you to feel sacred. So take some time and investigate and invest and seek out what sacredness means to you. Because unless you seek it out for yourself, you're going to keep experiencing everything you're going to keep experiencing, because you have to figure it out. I can listen to you all till the cows come home, but you've got to find that sacred vibration within yourself. If you want people to start treating you differently, you've got to sort it out. And I don't mind being that for you once in a while, but my sacred vibration wants to move over here so I can connect with friends that want to treat me with sacredness and want to honor me and nurture me as I do them. Because it's a sacred give and take. It's a minutia of back and forth and give and take. And when you start setting that, I want to be sacred today. I want someone to come and nourish me. And, I know that I give a lot, and I want my heart to be nourished in a sacred way. And I want to be talked to in a gentle and sacred way. And I want the vibration of intuitions to go back and forth sacredly, like sending really sacred telepathic energies back and forth when you're connecting with your star mate. All of those things for you are sacred. However you define sacred. I'm just giving you some examples, but that's what I've been feeling. And the vibration so now when I was getting back is that now that I've kind of awoken to this deeper divine feminine wisdom and what that really means, because it's far more than what has ever been written on our planet, because it hasn't yet. And this is part of my excitement and my passion, is to reintroduce and to resolve and bring back the excitement and the beauty and the elegance and the grace that is divine sacredness for divine feminine. But the abundance that the divine feminine has within her, her repertoire, and her toolkit of elegance, and how that adds to the unfolding of a beautiful fifth dimensional earth and raising the consciousness of humanity, raising the intelligence factor of humanity. And some of these things that I'm saying right now will fly in the face of everything that has been moving on our planet for centuries. For centuries. And it's really hard to grasp, whoa, really? When you look at some of what we have gone through and how far we've come, it's mind-boggling how we have been so suppressed. And it makes you wonder why. Why? Because they knew the power of the divine feminine and the energetic frequencies, and those energies were not in congruence to what those and how and the games that were being fed, and who was being served in those egocentric games. It's not saying that divine feminine cannot benefit from those things either. What we're saying is that the heavenly divine feminine sacred wisdom is being healed and offered now in humanity's ascension, and is required in every way, and why we've co-created what we have as far as our viruses. It's been one vibrational wake-up call to say, what's really going on here? How can we rebalance what's going on within a collective that is in real need of healing on so many levels of the imbalanced scale of who we are as divine male, divine masculine, mother, father, sacred God, sacred goddess, divine sacred child evolutionaries for the divine evolutionary programs of the all. It's so vast, and you see what I'm saying? But for me, it's really important that I begin to stand up and speak about my personal experiences not being treated sacred, as not being honored as sacred, because I wasn't establishing that for myself, and saying, no, you can't talk to me that way. You can't do those experiences again. And that's not okay. That's not sacred vibration, right? And if you want to keep co-creating that way, then go find someone else that wants to play in those ways, because that's not my vibration. And that goes with anything, right? Whether it's a friend, or whether it's, a job, or, a book, an entertainment. How much of our entertainment degrades and demeans divine feminine and sacred children? I'm asking, you know, what does a 5D higher vibrational relationship, you know, divine feminine look like? It's a goddess. She's a goddess. A 5D, and I'm not saying that I'm not saying what I'm saying to put, again, boxes of definition and separation. That's not why I'm saying it. I'm making a vibrational orientation between what archetypes have we ever had to look up to for divine feminine, and how can we begin now for all children that are looking into their world and saying, wow, how can we create, how can we manifest miracles, how can we bring heaven to earth? What divine feminine archetypes are they looking up to? One or two paragraphs in ancient mythology that at best is only taken in a partial understanding of what really occurred, because it's all very real in some respects, in some vibration. What else is there? Women and archetypes and energies and leaders of great healers, of great intuitivers, of great beings that had great intelligence, and bringing them forward in greater leadership and bringing them forward in greater awareness, writing about them, creating movies and honoring about them, and creating a new collective portrayal of balance. That's our long-term longevity. It's where all beings are respected and balanced. All beings, all disenfranchised, all beings. And that's what the divine feminine emulates and wants to encourage, because that's the mother energy. All children, there's no mother that says my children are not equal. Mothers are, yeah, my all kids are, they're all great. They're amazing. My kids are awesome. All of them, every single one of them. Equal greatness, equal miraculousness, equal awesomeness. It's what the holy creators are saying and living and breathing within us, within our sacred hearts. And our awakening is us remembering that. Remember who you are. How can each and every one of us bring sacred to the vibration of who we are? And be okay if you find what's being offered not a vibrational match. That shows that you're on the right path. You're doing you in the way that you need to do you. Like, it's not my circus anymore. And be okay with it. The TV shows and the movies and the whatever is offered in entertainment, how can this really truly be honored in a new vibration through which it honors the path of humanity, truly the heart of humanity? How can we start feeding light into everything so that the children can awaken and not only have it's changing a lot in the last 5 years, let me tell you, that children are now children are having a far greater offering on their electronics, if you will, and devices, as opposed to just the war and the games of war and the games of violence and aggression that were completely saturating every market. Why? Why is that we feed the children that, it's just, why? It's a part of the awakening process, and they've come here wanting the experience of density and wanting the experience of polarity and duality, and their souls have signed on for that. And again, it's about neutrality and not making it any less or any more than anything else. But my offering in that is, look at how far we've come in the last 1 year. And this last 1 year, what this virus has taught us is perhaps there's more. Perhaps we're meant to awaken to a higher consciousness in which we actually start caring and honoring one another, in which we actually start reaching out for what that vibration of sacred really is. And I say reaching out for meaning in here. How can I treat me as sacred? How can I treat the little bodies that are born as sacred? The little bodies that are born are not to be trafficked. The little bodies that are born are meant to have our guardianship and our sacredness so that they are lifted in their most high, not held captive and trafficked. And that's the vibrations of these vibrational changes that's going through every fabric of our co-creation. And sometimes they're not comfortable conversations. And it's okay to be neutral and say, okay, well, how am I going to hold myself today so that I can be a part of this vibration of sacredness that's really required to balance out our human experience? And this is only from my personal point of view and my personal ascension journey and my personal, you know, those dichotomy moments that you have as, your children are moving into a world and they're getting to make their choices and their, you know, experiences, you know, and knowing that you are a vibration that they look to and they honor. And so too are all other children, right? As I said, we are creating those new earth templates. Well, what vibrations are you really excited that are going to honor the greater good? What vibrations can each of us honor in this puzzle that is the all? And really stand firm when those older energies come back, and test you and say, well, you played those games with me before. Why can't we play those games now? Well, my vibration is different now, you see? God's with me more now than ever. And it means that I'm ready to level up and I'm ready to stand in a new light all the time. There's not a moment I won't not stand in my sacredness, right? Every child sacred. Every child is sacred, 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 sacred. So how can we press out sacredness? How can we press out oneness in a way that divine feminine is seen in beautiful, new archetypal ways through which the Mother Mary and the Mother Teresa and beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sacred women, Isis, and these goddesses that created such strength and honor and living within a sacred integrity of honoring life. How can we use those stories and be those stories and bring them into a new vibration of 5D? And this is what many of the guides are, those that are awakened, saying, well, you get to resolve everything that was in your world that, has been out of balance. And as we awaken in our consciousness, the stories of the divine feminines throughout our time will come forward because the consciousness has been readied for it. See, we've been living in the energies of control and egoism. And so those higher consciousness energies of peace and harmony and balance and sacred healing and sacred texts and all of those energies that are divine feminine have been suppressed because it flies in the face of the limitations. And many experiences, I was told by the Pleiadians, many of the experiences and sacred wisdom teachings about how powerful we are as infinite beings of sacred light, which Jesus came to teach and offer as the master that he was. Many of those teachings will be unearthed and unveiled, and some of them are even held, thank you, Spirit, some of them are held in confidence and are known by humanity, but the people that have those informations and wisdoms are not releasing them because it flies in the face of everything that we have experienced, and they wouldn't know how to weave those expansive consciousness energies into such a limited experience, because the people then would know, well, what else has been not shared with us? Right? I mean, we've given away our power. That's what they said to me the other night. I had a conversation with my teams about power. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. And all of these informations, it's all about our consciousness. As our consciousness raises, all of these informations, whether they are yet to be unearthed or whether they are already unearthed and kept under lock and key, because it flies in the face of every dogmatic doctrine, every limiting program of egocentric energy that has kept us in a limited state of not knowing who we are as spirit, because it flies in the face of everything that we thought to be true. And that's a really big thing for those that are holding those keys. How much to release and how much to release, when to release it. Do we even release it? Because we're not going to be served in that, because how many of these programs are not going to serve us anymore? How many of these programs actually show people they're actually really powerful light beings? And they can actually bilocate and they can actually levitate. They can actually release anything that we've thought to be our challenge, like fuel. All of those things will be resolved in the becoming of our light. And we will see ways that we can teleport ourselves to other planets without using any of the dangerous fuels that we use. Nuclear energy would be no more, because we would be responsible light beings that would honor and understand the sacredness of all science and light, all that is source. We wouldn't need to create those energies. So these are some of the things that will absolutely be unearthed and be brought back into a balance, because light will come into everything. And it will be for the 5D to say, wow, we knew that all the time. We're already making it. We're already creating our higher selves right now. Higher selves are becoming us and we're becoming it. Therefore, these suppressions and these aspects of controlled information will be nil and void. You know, those that are holding information under lock and key are going to find that the people will find higher consciousness with or without their secrets. Right? So it's like they're only in battle with themselves about control. They're playing a control game with themselves, really, because we're seeking it. We're seeking all the information we need through light. Anything that's under lock and key is light. We don't need that lock and key. We're already proving it to you. We don't need whatever you think is being hidden. We all know that there's Pleiadians, Sirians, Arcturians. We all know that there's been landings on our planets for eons. We all know that there's higher vibrational healing systems. We all know that there's higher vibrational fuel systems. We already know how to move back and forth in and out of dimensions. We already know that stuff. So again, transparency and truth. Are we living in light, truth, and transparency? And it's okay. It's a part of the experience that still many want to play. That's okay. But when you live within your truth and you live within yourself as being sacred, you don't need anything that perhaps, like, that's why the conspiracy theories. You can play along with the conspiracy theory all you want. It's not needed. You can just focus on being light, and anything that you think is conspiracy just doesn't make it, it's null and void, and it just kind of floats up, because that's not the reality you're focused on. Do you want to be focused on the reality of, you know, finding out and pointing fingers, and you will continue to smile in a reality of that? Or do you just want to get on with being light? You know, you get to choose. And again, there's no right or wrong, and there's no energy, but, you know, for me, absolutely. You know, I'm an old soul and I'm ready to live in light. I'm ready to see, you know, press out as much and as far as I can as the Christ consciousness. I've made that choice consciously in every moment. And there's no judgment on it either way. What I'm saying now as sacred, what's the vibration of sacred? For all the little children, for all the beautiful children, that sacredness of divine feminine. How can we live that sacred experience, you know, in our relationships with ourselves first? As we look in the mirror, I'm sacred. It doesn't matter how anybody else defines me, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. It doesn't matter what anything else comes out as, you know, oh, breaking news or conspiracy or, what is it called? What are those things called? You know, news flashes. What are they called? Propaganda. I don't know. I'm so out of it. Propaganda, whatever it might be. It doesn't matter what it's called. It doesn't matter what it's called. It's just controlled information that's usually negatively spun to keep fear and control, whatever that is. Whatever that is. And I don't entangle with those energies. That's why it's not my vibration. It doesn't matter what is going on out there. I can remain in my vibration of sacredness, and I will create a sacred reality, and I will call in whatever is sacred for me, and I will begin to infuse sacredness into everything that I say and do and act upon and be, because I want to give the divine feminine that leverage. We need it. We own it. We honor it. We are it. It's always been us. Divine feminine has been sustaining life for eons. And we deserve that platform. And I will infuse that sacredness, that honoring, that monumental role that the divine feminine is in creation until my very last breath. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. You see how Spirit is always with us and validating and supporting. Spirit, that's Spirit. Spirit is saying we are always here. What's your truth? Your level of truth will show you your level of entanglement with Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. My personal vlog. And there are some times where I get really, really passionate. And I've been working on I've been tempering myself on delivery. Because oftentimes when I listen to little clips and little parts of my videos, you know, I'm a teacher at heart. I was born a teacher. And because of what I've gone through, the densities that I've gone through, and the traumas and the dramas that I've gone through, thank you, Spirit, it's been a part of me to, sometimes my delivery is like, you know, it has the vibration of telling. And it has the vibration of telling because I have so much to share. Thank you, Spirit. I have so much to share, and I have so much passion that's what it feels like. There's a part of me that feels as if get as much in as you can vibrationally, get as much, information and wisdom and whatever it is, get as much in as you can, because you've got so much to do. The higher vibrational parts of me that I'm threaded to, that I can connect with, there's so much that I want to be a part of and accomplish in this lifetime. And so parts of my skill right now is to temper how I manifest and offer information and wisdom, so that it's done in the divine feminine perspective, not in the egocentric perspective as far as doing and performing and that task orientated energy. So I'm shifting into a more divine feminine in how I present and how I offer my information, to really relax into the divine feminine sacredness. And just know that all information will be presented, and there's no rush for me to get done my fourth book and all of the things I want to be a part of vibrationally, and really helping humanity as much as I can, for the time that I'm here. I want to be that access of vibrational archetype. I want to be that vibration of instigation for new vibrations of higher consciousness. And I am, and I will. But these personal vlogs are my personal journey in the minutia of density, and in the minutia of abuse, and the minutia of being downplayed for my intelligence, the minutia of not being respected and being laughed at and mocked at, the minutia of people not believing in me when I was speaking truth, and having things occur over and over again that were not appropriate. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's being lied to and manipulated, being taken advantage of because of your kindness and your generous heart. If I speak truth, I speak truth. It's a vibration. And you get to feel for it. That's your discernment. You get to feel for what your truth is and what you want to emulate, because it will come back to you. It's your reality you're creating. And I'm absolutely done with the reality of not being honored and not being respected. Being tossed aside as if I don't matter, and my voice does not matter, and my heart does not matter, and what I think matters. It does matter, and I want to be honored. I deserve to be honored. The old world dynamics of being thrown aside for egocentric materialism or egocentric behaviors, egocentric control about men and women, men versus women, women versus men, all of that, it's done. Done. We're one. Wake up. Wake up. Tune in. Tune in. And for someone that's experienced it, that's where that frustration comes from. And that mastery is like tempering that frustration, and releasing and healing it. That subjugation and that ignorance and that arrogance and all of those energies gets into the cells and the chakras, and you've got to clear it. And that's what I've been doing the past year, is clearing the egocentric arrogance about the perspectives of women and why I'm posing it. How can we present a sacred vibration of women in our experience? What does that look like? What does that feel like? Where are beautiful sacred shows about women? The sacredness of women, their wisdom, their intelligence, their leadership. Where are the young kids and the young children nowadays, whether it's a boy body or a female body, where are their archetypes that they can look up to see the balance in our human perspective, in our human family? And I'm speaking in absolute equal experience with all disenfranchised tribes and aged, whatever bodies and forms you've come in, and whatever coloring that you've come in, you are perfect and you are pure as the sacredness of God, of Source Creator. Where is the representation? As a vibration. As a vibration. I hold sacredness, not just to speak it, but to hold the vibration of sacredness. And this is going back to what they told me the other night about control, because I had this really incredible conversation with my guides and my teams about control and where it stemmed back. Because they often do this, they give me this one sentence or one or two words, and then I'm like, what? Because how I expand, and I'm just giving it to you from my own personal perspective. If they give me something, or if I'm working on something, let's just say the control of the divine feminine, if you will, the divine subjugation, the subjugation of divine feminine. And then I say, okay, well, this is what I'm thinking about. This is the energy I'm resolving, I'm healing, I'm moving into, I'm feeling the vibration so that I can bring a higher energy from the heavens and feel into it and press it out. I want to expand it. I want to see it from all perspectives and dimensions and levels. And, you know, and this incredible thing about control, I have to find where I wrote it and put it in a blog article because they were just like mind-boggling me. And they were showing me how we have in our human history, just because of our patterning, the ego patterning that we come within, how we automatically just give our control away to those that are in titles and roles and all these things that we see as separate archetypes. And they showed me that it stems back from the earliest of days when tribes and communities were created, and there were the leaders, and usually back then they were spiritual leaders, and then it became into an indoctrined religion, and then it started getting separated because more and more people wanted to be their own leader, and that's where the ego thing came in. When they stopped living as spirit and all is spirit, then there were those that came to say, okay, well, let's play the roles of leaders and let's play the roles of ego. Let's see how far we can play with ego. I mean, it's all a divine plan, and that's where polarity came in. So the spirit, which is one is the all is one, started to become delineated and separated. Then it became all of these different doctrines and religions because there had to be a leader, of course, for each religion. And then each leader would say, you can do this, you can't do this. And that's when these very different religions started creating titles and hierarchies. And then masters had come along throughout time to say, no, we are one. The one is the all. You are divine light beings. You know, you're one with source. You have great gifts. There is no need for all this delineation, separation and limitation and boxing and all that kind of stuff. But of course that stepped on the toes of all those that were in the leadership roles of all these different religions, saying mine's better than yours is not this, you didn't do this, you can't bend at the knee, and this, you know, all of those things that separation does. Who's better, who's not better, whose way of praying is better than your way of praying, and I mean all these things. That is the journey. It's the journey. I've experienced all of it. And I'm giving it in a really quick synopsis of what the control energies are all about, and you can see it in your own perspective and feel into it in your own perspective, and then you can create your own personal blog. What I'm saying is that these ideas and energies of control, and so what I was asking them, I said, well, can you give me, because sometimes they let me scan up so that I can see from a top-down perspective on how it plays out in the collective, so that I can feel into what I need to offer at the collective level and based on what the collective is ready to hear. So they threaded me that it stems back from way back when all such divine text and divine wisdoms brought down from the heavens through those that were able to channel sacred wisdom and information from the heavenly councils, all that is light evolution. And then it was put on the papyrus, and those were the explorations of the divine sacred text. And then it became into the hands of those that wanted to create separate religions based on certain sacred texts, and then reconform it to fit their unique religious experiences and needs and wants of control. And so the idea of giving our power away to those that were in those tribal leadership roles, because they were, at the time, they were just, you know, smaller communities. And then it stemmed out as a greater collective as more and more, obviously, humanity grew in size, and then it becomes more challenging and more difficult in the control, because then it became social borders, then it became political borders, and then you see the delineation farther and farther out as control just stems out more control programming at every level: entertainment control, political control, border control. I mean, it all is just control, right? That's the game we've been playing. And so they were showing me about control and about how we just give our power away to those that originally disseminated from those original concepts of, you know, community, tribal, religious leaders. Religious, we say religious in the text of spiritual leaders at the time. It became religion once everybody wanted to have their own unique religious name, you know, how they called it, what hats they wore, what robes they wore, that kind of thing. And it took itself away from the spiritual intention. The spiritual intention is, who are you as spirit? And it's okay that there's different processes. It's okay that there's different ideas and concepts. It's okay. It's all okay. It's all perfect. It's all source. But my threading for that was the suppression of the divine feminine and the control. So the conceptualized threads that I'm getting at here, for me as a person, me as a personal divine feminine, wanting to create a higher vibrational divine feminine experience, an archetype for children and for all of humanity. What does that feel like? Where did that control begin, and how can we change it? And so they were showing me this experience about the origination of it, and how we're so easy, and how that original experience then became the giving of our control for political leaders and political borders and entertainment leaders, and however we title ourselves in the socioeconomic world, and how we're so easy to give our power away to those that portray and portend themselves to be these important figures. And they were showing me that at a galactic experience, for us to take that sovereignty back and say, in the vastness of all that is the universal energy, how do we give our power away? And how do we return back to ourselves to know that no matter what energy you think is tapping into you, through your heart service, you absolutely know the vibration that you carry and who you're connecting with, and not to give your power away to anyone or anything. Because you know the vibration, you know the vibration. And so I was on a sacred journey many years ago. And this is one of my first, they were introducing this to me back then. And I'm just telling you that I've come 4 or 5 years since then into this idea of divine feminine archetype and how to really allow it its highest vibrational experience. And I was on a sacred journey at that time, and we were connecting with a very sacred shaman. And after I had had a conversation with the sacred shaman, I was in such delight and such joy to be, in his presence, and I gave great honor. And then my teams had said, it's great that you're having that great honor, but don't give your power away to know that whatever he has said is any greater or more important than what you know to be true within your heart. And that just like, wow, what? But he said, do you see how easy it is, and how how innately you give your control over to people that you think and are portrayed as a being that is more vibrationally aware than you, or vibrationally special than you, because they're wearing certain things or they're saying certain things. And this is how we really need to step into our own unique power. How do we give our power away so easily? And how do we value someone else's word more than ours? Someone else's truth more than ours? That's why we've always we're offering our unique expression and information based on the vibrations that I sense and that I feel, but feel into what is your own truth. Feel into what you see in your reality, and how can you add your vibration of sacredness to it? How can you feel into the vibration of sacredness in your own home and in your own co-creations and in your own relationships, and say, does that really fit with me? You know that when you hang up the phone, that's not a conversation you want to keep having. So your level of sacredness will say, and that's enough. I'm not going to take the call anymore. I'm just going to block it. And you have the right to do that. If it's not nourishing you, if it's not honoring you, if it's not feeding that sacred vibration, you have the right to say, I'm done. Enough is enough. Enough. And not just give your power away to what someone, well, I need you. You're my friend. You said you were going to be there for me. You said that you were going to, and give into those manipulations of emotions that they're still needing to seek outside energies to fulfill what they think they need that they can get from within. And that's emotional manipulation, and it's done in various ways. Whether it's a religious person that says they're this and this, and, their text is greater than your text. It doesn't matter. It's a part of the game, but you can feel into it. What is your truth? And you get to say, no, that's not my truth. I know source spirit. I can sit with a flower and I can actually bring the highest wisdoms that I know as my truth. That's okay. I know what I know. I know my own set of truth, and I can speak my own set of truth. I'm divine feminine. I'm sacred. And have that be okay. This is the intention that we want to start setting. That, what does that feel like for you? What does 5D feel like? As a vibration, to be honored. Someone standing in front of you that actually honors you. Wow, I honor your soul. I'm going to be reciprocal with your vibration. I want to heal with you. I want to honor you. I want to explore with you. It's a sacred vibration of equality. It's not one presenting itself over the other, wanting to mean and put them in a box and place them in a little corner that they don't come out of, and they can only come out when they're spoken to. all of those energies that we're all healing. It's okay. It's a part of our experience. But those are deep wounds. And you got to go within to heal it. Right? You got to go within to heal. I'm not going to go that way anymore. It doesn't feel good. I get the game, but I get to say enough with that karma. I'm done. And then shift your vibration into something that's really, really sacred. Honoring the sacred ground, honoring the sacred earth, honoring you as your sacred body. You know, how can you go about honoring your body in a sacred way? You know, spend a half an hour before bed just appreciating and honoring your body. Every cell, every organ, just appreciate it. I honor my body. I'm sacred. And nothing will occur to my body that is not sacred from here on out. I get to choose, and from here on out, every generation henceforth will be changed because of my choice. That's huge. That's huge. Not only are you healing your soul and your lineage and your Akash and all families and all lineage before you, but you're healing all timelines and all these little sparkly generations that are coming in after you. It's huge, huge. And why it's so important for us to turn off what doesn't, it's not a vibrational match anymore. It's turn it off. Are you being fed fear and are you feeding into it? Are you being fed control and are you feeding into it? Are you fed negativity and manipulations and are you feeding into it? You can choose to shut the door and not open to it. Just entangle somewhere else. And this was so, you know, amazing that my teams have always said you could choose just not to engage. You know, and I said, well, but they're standing right in front of me. Yeah, you don't have to let them in. You have that choice. What vibration do you want to dance with? You get to choose. Thank you, Spirit. And I choose sacred. I choose sacred. I choose sacred. I honor myself and I love myself and I choose sacred because I know I'm putting it out there. I put sacredness out there. I put it out there. I pray upon sacredness. I'm like, sacred, sacred, sacred. I do my light work and I send love and prayers out to all the collective and I send love and prayers to the earth because I know Gaia. I feel Gaia. I speak with Gaia. It's a sacred relationship. Are you taking time for Gaia? Just 5 minutes a day and just think, I'm going to connect with Gaia. I'm going to connect with the mother and the father and the creators that are within my heart. You don't have to. But to feel sacred, those are some of the things that I do because it's a vibration that's unmistakable and it's undeniable. And it is miraculous. And that's when the unexpected occurs. And that's a truth. I've experienced, obviously, you see spirit flying all around my space because that's spirit. Spirit's with us. Spirit knows I'm a space holder for spirit. Come on, Spirit, let's play. What you got for me today? What you got for me, good God? Let's do this. I want a big life. Bring it on. Bring it on. I got this. I'm okay. I'm okay with who I am. I got this. Ain't nobody going to come in here and tell me that I'm any less than what I know myself to be. I know who I am. I know my truth. And that's the sacredness that we each have to kind of be a part of, want to be participating, an active participant in sacredness. That's my inspiration. So that's what this vlog is all about, active participation in being sacred once again. Because we all have lifetimes where we've been sacred. Let's bring it back. Let's know that the ground we walk on is sacred. Then we set that sacred vibration before our foot hits the floor. Set the vibration for yourself, for your cells to know that you program your cells and you program your chakras at every night and every morning. Today I will walk as sacred. Today my chakras spin as sacred. Today my body will be treated sacredly. Today all that I speak of will be sacred because I'm honoring that voice that God gave me to be that voice of God, to speak the blessings and the goodness that is God, to speak the blessings and the goodness that is all. We each are allowed to have our own unique beliefs and our own unique perspectives and interpretations. It's meant to be that way. There is no interpretation that is less than or not wrong than any others. It's not. You get to set what you want to vibrate and co-create with. And I'm super passionate about calling back in divine feminine and what that really means and pressing out the divine feminine experience. It's time. We're so overdue. So overdue. We need some great healing on this planet, and it's done through the divine feminine wisdom. Sacredness and gentleness and tenderness and caring, because everything matters. It matters. It matters. And every divine feminine that we do have in our history, if you will, the sacred potent ones, Mother Mary, Mother Teresa, those sacred potent divine feminine, and the stories that they told, Goddess Isis, those were real women. They were real women. They're in my vibration, and I feel them, and I've trained with them, and I've been with them in many lifetimes. They are real vibrations of sacred divine feminine. They're real vibrations, real women that walked this planet. And their vibrations, above all, vibrated with every cell in their body, knowing the gentleness and the purity and the things that matter all is source. It matters. It all matters. Are we awake and aware to it? How can we entangle and be an active participant in sacredness? That is the vibration of source. Source is sacred. Source is sacred. Sacred, sacred, sacred. Hey, white my sacred. Sacred. Let's bring it back. Thank you, dear lighted ones. This is my personal sacred vlog. Hi, I'm Joanna. Thanks for dancing with me, and thanks for being a part of my sacred dance, and I love you so much. Thank you, everyone. Bye.